So for this first exercise, I'll be demonstrating a jump squat. So just like its name, you're doing a squat, but you're also exploding upwards. So you want to start with having your feet hip width apart, and then as you're coming down, you want to make sure that your knees are fully flexed as well as your hips. So to get a side view, it would look like this. And then another thing about this exercise is that you want to prevent yourself from leaning forward, because that would just cause you to jump forward instead of jumping towards the ceiling. So you want to have a neutral spine throughout the entire process. And then you want to prevent yourself from looking upwards like I just did. You want to look straight ahead. And then another thing about this exercise is that you're not only using your legs to push you off the ground, you're also using your arms to drive you upwards. So as you're coming down, you want to make sure that your arms are coming backwards, and then you want to explode up. So you want to have them drive you towards the ceiling, basically. If you feel like this exercise is a little too hard for you, you're just not comfortable with exploding, you can always just do a regular air squat. So just coming down and up. Or if you want to get the feel for the jump squat, but you can't get there yet, you can always just do a squat where you're kind of in the same position as a jump squat, where you have your arms come fully backwards, but instead of exploding up, you're coming up with your arms above your head, and then you're coming into a calf raise. And then for some progression, so if this exercise is a little too easy for you, you can always add weight like barbells or dumbbells, or you can progress into doing box jumps. All right, so for this next exercise, I'll be demonstrating a single leg balance hold. As you can tell, I'm not wearing shoes. I don't think it's easier, but I think you have a little bit more stability with this exercise when your feet are fully flat on the ground, instead of like with your shoes, you tend to have a little bit of heel, so you're kind of elevated. So it's better. So you want to start by having an upright torso. You want to make sure that you're standing tall. And you want to transition from having your weight on both legs to now having your weight on one leg, slightly bending one knee and being on your toes. From this position, you want to transition into now fully flexing your hip and flexing your knee. And you want to have your knee out in front of you, so like this. And you want to hold it for longer than I was holding it right now, so like 10 seconds. And then a common issue with this exercise is that you tend to wobble. If that happens, have your arms extended out at your sides, and that you'll be more stable. If this exercise is a little bit too hard for you and you just feel like you can't do it, you can always have your leg extended out in front of you instead of having a fully flexed hip and knee. So you just have it out in front of you, hold for 10 seconds, switch legs, or you can bring it a little bit closer. That way it's slightly a little bit apart from the foot that's already on the ground, and just hold for 10 seconds, switch legs. Or if you feel like you're not getting much of a workout, or you feel like it's not intense enough, you can always add a medicine ball wood chop component to this exercise. So once you're already in this position, you would have a medicine ball out in front of you, bring it down to your hip, and then extend it upward into this exercise. I will be demonstrating a plank that goes from being on your elbows to being into a push-up position. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it before I go into it, and then describe it a little bit more. So for this exercise, you want to start by being flat on the ground, face down, and then transition into being on your elbows. So just having your elbows, I wouldn't say out in front of you because you would be on them. So just having your elbows below you, and just help them raise you up off the ground using your feet as well. Common error with this exercise is that people tend to push their butt out, butt up. Make sure that your butt is flat, so that if someone were to put a ruler on top of you, it would be a straight line from your head to your feet. And then from being in this position, you would transition into being in a push-up position. Okay, so now I'll be demonstrating it and talking about it. So like I said, you're going to be laying on the ground. You want to make sure you're on your elbows. Your elbows are going to be like tucked in, close to your chest. And you want to have, I always put my hands in a fist. It always helps me. or you can have your hands together. And then you're gonna use your arms to propel yourself upwards, as well as using your feet. So you would rise, but you don't want to do this. Like I said, you want to have a flat butt, and then transition into a push-up position. And then you would go back down and do it again. Okay, so some regressions for that exercise would be to do a regular plank, or some progressions would be to incorporate weight. So you can have a plate on your back, or you can also even make it even harder for you and incorporate a renegade row after you're in a push-up position. All right, so for this next exercise, I will be demonstrating a dead bug. So for this exercise, you want to lay flat on the ground with your back against the ground. So you would be in this position. And for this exercise, you're obviously not just going to lay on the floor. You want to bring your arms up, out, above you, and you want to bend your knees so that they're both at a 90-degree angle. And you want to squeeze your obliques. And from this position, you want to transition into extending one arm and one leg. So you're going to be extending one arm above your head, and you're going to be extending the opposite leg. So for some regressions for this exercise, you can always just do a dead bug hold. So just holding the main position that I was in, where you have your arms extended above you and your legs, your knees fully bent, and just holding for about 10 seconds. Or if this exercise wasn't tough enough, or you just feel like you didn't get much from it, you can always get a band, a large band, and wrap it around your feet and your hands, so that way you have more resistance when you're extending your arm and a leg. Or you can also do a lower ab strict dead bug. So you would just get like a yoga block, and you would put the yoga block on one of your legs, and you would press it down with one of your hands and still keep that leg at a full 90-degree angle while you're extending this arm, the opposite arm, and that opposite leg. So it's going to be the same arm and the same leg moving at once while you're holding onto this leg. And you just want to make sure that you don't drop your leg. You want your knee fully bent for that exercise, and you want to keep the resistance. Just have your arm fully pressed onto the yoga mat, the yoga block. All right, so for this next exercise, I will be demonstrating how to do a single arm dumbbell floor press. So for this exercise, like I said, you obviously need a dumbbell, or you can also use a kettlebell for this exercise. So to do this exercise, you want to lay up against the ground. You want to make sure that your scap is pressed onto the ground, as well as your lower back, but mainly your scap, so that way you have your chest a little bit puffed out, but not too much. For a little bit of support, you're going to want to bend your knees and have your feet flat on the ground. But first, to propel the dumbbell up, you're going to want to use your leg to push the dumbbell up, and you would be in this position. You want to use this arm extended out by your side so you can have some form of stability, and you would squeeze your obliques, and as you transition from this position to making a full press, you don't want to have your arm over here or over there. You want to make sure that your arm is as close to your chest as possible as you press up. So it would look as so. All right, so if this exercise was a little bit too easy for you, you can always just extend your legs instead of having them bent, so that way you have less stability, and also squeeze your core a lot tighter so you can engage your core a lot more with your legs extended, and also increase the weight. Or if this exercise was a little bit too tough for you, you can always decrease the load, or you can, instead of doing unilateral, you can do bilateral, or you can also grab onto the weight with both your hands, and use both your arms in order to press the dumbbell up in front of you.